Hello and welcome to Wellness Wednesday. I'm James Currie with the Communication Department. I'm talking to Claris Perkins. She is a RDN, Registered Dietitian Nutritionist, and we are circling back on National Nutrition Month. So Claris, since we last spoke, we talked about the food label. So give me some insight here.
Okay, so I think the food label is really important because a lot of times we're only looking at the front of the box, and that will say things like healthy, organic, less sodium, these kind of catchphrase words. The only way to really know what's in that food is if we look at the label. So that's why I think that's important.
Okay, well, I just happened to have grabbed a couple of things out of my pantry, so I'm going to hold it up. You tell me what to look for, and I know you have, this label. Well, here's the can, okay? Here's,
Okay.
let me put it in front of my face. Let me hide my face. Okay.
Can't
Um,
really see it.
yeah, there you go. Amy's Organic Soups, lentil vegetable. All right, so
Okay, so let's
here's,
start at the front where it
okay,
says, does it say light sodium, low sodium?
let's
What's
see.
that?
Yes, light and sodium.
Okay. Now, if we look at the back of the label, I like to
Okay,
start at the top. The
okay,
most important thing that we start with is the serving size.
okay.
A good little cheat is also the servings per container. To me, that kind of tells me, okay, how many days or meals should this last me? So, what does that can say?
One serving per container. Serving size is one can.
Excellent. We love that. It's easy. That means everything that's in that label is in that can. If you put it in your bowl, that's what we're getting. Okay, so the next thing we're going to drop to is going to be the sodium. They said this was light in sodium. If this is going to be your full meal, I want your meal to be below 600 milligrams of sodium per serving.
All right, let's
What does
see.
that can say?
This is 320 milligrams per cup, and it is 540 milligrams per can.
Excellent. That is perfect. That's under 600. That's exactly what I would want for a meal.
Okay.
The next thing that I would look at is going to be the sugar. What does
Okay.
that say?
Let's see. 8 grams of sugar per can.
Okay, that's not so bad. I wouldn't expect a soup to have too much sugar in it. The recommendation for the full day is we're trying to stay under 50 grams. That sounds like a lot. A Kit Kat bar has 20 grams of sugar. A can of Coke has 39. So 8, it's close to being about a fifth of your day. That's really not too bad for a meal.
Okay. So we need to be writing all these numbers down or something, or what, just roughly calculating, or?
You could write them down if you wanted to. I can go over them again. Is there another
No,
food that you?
no, what I'm saying is like if I'm trying to keep track of my calories, I need to
Uh-huh.
be writing all this stuff down or making, oh gosh, I can't even make it appear. There we go. I need to be writing all this down to be conscious about it.
So if we are able to keep in mind how many grams or milligrams of those two that I highlighted
Mm-hmm.
per meal, you really don't have to write it down. You most certainly can. If you like to keep a food journal, I think that can be super helpful. But if you know, okay, let's back up to sodium. You want to stay below 2,300 milligrams of sodium per day.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like a lot. It's not. It's the same amount of sodium that's in 1 teaspoon of salt.
Okay.
So when I broke that down to meals, I said, all right, let's aim for about 600. That gives you some wiggle room for a snack. So if you are calculating or keeping in mind per meal, then you don't really have to write that down.
Okay. All right. Well, I've also got this other. It's almost like you've been talking to a can of soup the whole time. So
I have been.
yeah, thanks. Okay. So this is Publix soup and oyster snack crackers. And
Okay.
here's the label on the side. Okay, so let's see. Serving size is 36 crackers.
Great.
About 26 servings per container.
So that should last you all month.
Okay. Yeah, I remember you said that. You said servings per container equals roughly the number of days this should last. So that's a very, very good tip. Okay, let's see what else you told me. Total sugars, 0 grams of sugar.
Love that.
All right. Should I be concerned about the calories or anything else?
We were looking at the sodium. What does the sodium say?
Sodium is 170 milligrams.
Great. So I mentioned the 600 milligrams per meal.
Mm-hmm.
I also like to keep in mind about 300 milligrams per serving, because typically you'll eat more than one thing at a meal. So if your food is under 300, that typically means it's a pretty good option.
Mm-hmm.
As far as calories goes, if y'all watched last week or the last little segment that we did for National Nutrition Month, I talked about the plate. I think counting calories can be a great tool. If this is something that you're just starting, you're saying, okay, I want to be healthier. I want to lose weight, lower my cholesterol, blood pressure, whatever your goals are. I would say step one is the plate. Half of that plate, fruits and veggies, the other half limiting between your starches and your protein. I would expect you to see some progress if that's something new for you. If you start to hit a plateau or you're finding that you're not making changes as quickly as you would like to be seeing them, maybe calories would be a good thing to look at. I find it can be really, it's easy to become obsessed with that number.
Mm-hmm.
I think if we can prioritize, am I having a fruit or veggie? Am I limiting my starches? Am I having good protein? I think that's a better place to start.
Okay. I know we talked before, we recorded. There's a way to offset some of the calories just by exercise and other things. So I appreciate you mentioning that. So don't be so, uber focused on the calorie part. You want to talk to me or you want to talk to a can label again?
I think the can's cuter.
You're so kind. Okay. So anything else I need to look at on this label that is helpful to mention?
The last thing I really like to look at is going to be that ingredient list.
Mm-hmm.
I find that I really want that list to be as small as possible, especially on your more whole foods. So if you're choosing like a peanut butter or rice or bread or tortillas, whatever, you want that list to be as small as possible. For example, I have a peanut butter here.
Mm-hmm.
And the ingredients are simple: almonds, egg whites, dates, coconut oil, sea salt. There's a handful of ingredients here. I know what they are. That's a product that I really like. And that's kind of what you want to look for there, is that the product list or the ingredient list is quite simple. Okay. Now, if we're looking at a snack, whether that's a sweet snack or a salty snack, these are your more highly processed foods. Because of that, the ingredient list is going to be very long. It's really hard for me to say, like, this is your healthiest brownie, this is your best chip. Mm-hmm. And that's why we kind of talked about this last time, kind of having those foods as treats. I wouldn't necessarily be like looking at every Dorito bag to find the one with the smallest label because they've got like 30 ingredients. Uh-huh. I would focus on those like daily foods. Like I mentioned, the nut butters or the rices, things like that. You want that list to be quite small. Another thing to keep in mind with the ingredients is that they're listed from largest to smallest. Okay. So you want those first few words to be really quality ingredients. You don't want the first couple of ingredients to be salt, sugar. We want that to be something that's towards the bottom as just like a small ingredient. You want those first few ones to be the products that you're buying. If I'm buying a peanut butter, I want the first ingredients to be peanuts. Mm-hmm. If I'm buying bread, I want that first ingredient to be whole wheat. And that's kind of what you want to look for there.
Well, I noticed on the soup can, I can pronounce all the ingredients. So that's probably a good sign, right?
Yeah, that's a good sign. And sometimes there are, natural preservatives that look a little bit sciencey. Those aren't totally scary. That's just a good kind of extra thing to look at would be, can I pronounce most of at least that first handful of ingredients? You want those to be the food that you're buying.
Well, the nutrition label didn't just show up overnight. I know that was, work from, government and the dietitians and everything else to be able to provide this information. So I noticed the nutrition label is on like 99% of things.
Yeah.
That's a good thing, right?
It is a good thing. I tell patients if your food doesn't have a label, that means there's really nothing in it. You're not going to see a food label on an apple because it's just an apple. That's a great choice. Now, your foods that have a label, it's because those are more processed foods. Those are foods you want to look at. You'll see labels on bagged greens and things like that, just because it's a packaged food, but that really doesn't mean that bagged spinach has been processed, and that ingredient list should just be spinach. Same with frozen veggies. If you're buying frozen broccoli, you just want to see broccoli on that list. But if it doesn't have a label, great choice. We love that. Eat lots of those.
All right, quick wrap up for National Nutrition Month. Give me one or two really good tips for people to take away about the theme for National Nutrition Month and the plate and what they should be doing.
Yeah. So, the theme for National Nutrition Month is make the plate your own, customize your plate. Mm-hmm. I tell people all the time, think of your plate like a puzzle. We want fruit or veggie, protein, and starch. And I like to start with the protein. So if this is breakfast, I'm like, eggs, check, great. Toast, check, starch. Strawberries, great. Fruit. And that's it. Keep it very simple. Choose the foods that you like. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a great place to start.
Well, good. I appreciate us being able to circle back here on this food label. I know we had talked about it for a while, and I'm just so glad that we were actually even able to have some visual aids here. So, Claris, thank you for your time, and thank you for wrapping up National Nutrition Month with us here on Wellness Wednesday.
You're welcome. Go eat something good, James.
I'm looking for apples.
Excellent.